Okay.
Brock.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If it's Tuesday and it's 7 o'clock, it must be the Idle Zone Syndicate. And isn't it awesome? It's still light outside.
It is
it's
awesome.
nice outside.
I mean, it's crap what you have to go through to get it to be light outside, but it is what it is. That's why they make coffee.
Yes.
It's a wonderful thing.
Man, I got some sun today.
You did. Well, that's all right, too.
What a shame.
I got to remember to put on sunscreen next time, I guess. Forgot all about that stuff.
Just because it's cool out doesn't mean you don't need sunscreen.
It was kind of warm today.
It did get warm.
Crazy stuff going on. We're approaching the Ides of March, gentlemen. Crazy stuff happens. You got the vernal equinox and a full moon in the same week.
Uh-oh.
I don't know. It's nuts. It's kind of like our guest situation. Tonight, if you were planning to tune in anyway, you were going to see Louis, and that didn't happen. We will reschedule him when we can.
He will be on next week, he said.
He's next week. Okay, cool. So now you know who the guest is next week.
Yeah.
We'll have to make a whole new post, though. Darn it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, shall we jump right into this? I mean, okay, not going to lie. John salvaged the evening by complete accident and luck.
Yep.
And if anybody is going to tell me it wasn't complete accident and luck, you are dead wrong. So,
well, the man upstairs might have had something to do with it.
That could well be. It was meant to be. This
you
young
know,
man is
someone... he does know everything that's going to happen.
True. This young man is someone that we had planned to bring on, in the near future anyway. And it just so happened this guest thing. I literally made that video telling you about the program change about 4 minutes after it took place. So that's how close we were to just going down in flames. Okay, maybe not. I might be exaggerating a little bit. But man, it's been a crazy week, and it's only Tuesday. This young man started out, and we're going to get I hope his whole story. We'll see.
He may have to give his own stats because we didn't have time to get them.
We didn't have time to get him. He started out with Kansas Bass Nation in the youth program, and then through the high school program, and attended Drury in the college program. Had a great premier season on the NPFL last year, fishing some Bass Opens and Toyotas this year. Mr. Brock Bila.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you, Brock.
Glad it all worked out. I mean, that was just a pure, random phone call. I was going to go fish Grand, call John. I mean, couldn't worked out any better.
Hey, Brock, what are you doing at 7 o'clock?
I was so confused. I'm like, why is he asking me what I'm doing at 7? Like, he's at Grand, I'm in Springfield. Like, but, and then I put the pieces together.
And then there's the first.
There we go.
Silence.
Get it out of the way.
We got so all wound up and excited because it all came together at the last minute. We forgot. Oh yeah, we have to ask him questions. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Hey, hopefully we can make it a good show.
And all you guys that are commenting, feel free to ask questions because, as Danny said, this was all last minute and we didn't really have plans to talk to Brock, but
Here we are.
here we are. Here we are.
All right, buddy. Do you want to start with the most recent news for you, or do you want to tell us your whole life story? What do you want to do? What's going on in Brock's world right now?
What's going on? Well, it's prime season. Got the classic coming up got to work some booths, work out in the Baitworks booth, trying to plan all that. And we're about halfway through the open season currently. So it's the past 2 weeks have been back-to-back fishing of just like go, 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 go. And like I was telling Danny earlier, it's the freeze that we had here in the Midwest was pretty miserable on the bass fishing side of things. And, everything in our region just shut down. So it's that 2 week stretch of fishing for like 14, 15 days straight is always a blast. But when it's tough fishing like that, you're like, I'm ready for a few days of a break, get myself resituated, and then get back out there. But yeah, other than that, just mid-season, trying to get mentally prepared for the next Open Toyota Series, and then get business taken care of for the Classic.
Very cool. Well, every week we have about 3 guys that try to rush and be the first to comment. Probably 8 out of 10 times it's Jack Graves, and Jack's saying hi.
Good buddy of mine.
Matt Gnoth saying hi. Mark Moody, Brandon Ackerson.
I don't know about that guy.
You don't know about him? He says that you call him Daddy. What's
Nah,
that?
it's other way around. Flip flop.
Matt Kister is MIA. He may have been abducted. It's possible.
And I wish he was here because some of my very early adult level fishing tournaments was actually with Kyle.
There you go.
And we have some fun stories, and maybe those can be brought out on this podcast. We'll see.
Maybe that'll get him to join whatever he's doing. I think he didn't know you were going to be on when he first said he was going to miss. So
Probably
Now
a
we're-
kid thing.
Now we're stuck with B-side, Kyle.
Oh man. No way. Dude, the cranker is the one that holds this little ship together,
I don't know about that.
because he's got 250 somethings that are not IT friendly.
truth.
And
Truth.
yeah, if he doesn't make it plug and play, we can't do it. That's all there is to it.
3 more months to be a 50 something too.
And I will be double nickel tomorrow.
Oh,
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
does that make you a
Happy
dime?
birthday.
Advance.
Do what, cranker?
Does that make you a dime now?
I would hope. 2 5s is a dime, right?
See,
Dime piece.
yeah, exactly it.
Oh my. So, well, let's just jump right into that. Brock, you said some of your earliest memories of adult events were with Kister.
Yeah. So
Maybe not a story, but what events are you talking about?
yeah. So like Danny was saying, I came up through the youth, high school, then fished some Bass Nation when I was in high school, and then college and whatnot. But when I turned 16, I started getting into the Kansas Bass Nation um, state qualifiers, Mr. Basses, those type of events. And um, my first year when I turned 16, I qualified. Or sorry, that was the second year I fished with Kyle. But so I was 17 and I fished it and made the national or the regional on Gunnersville. So it was the Bass Nation regional event that sets you up for the championship. And him and I ended up rooming together and traveling together because at the time, I lived in Lewisburg and he lived about two-ish hours south of me. Uh, and we had a good time. Like he took me down to Bone Creek back in its heyday, and we threw a little underspin in a rig and caught 24 pounds, 23 pounds. I'm like, this is incredible. Um, but we ended up going down to Gunnersville, and that place was incredible at the time. We go out there, and fun fact. So I don't know if this is like 100% true, but he's colorblind, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, like, just to kind of lay out the week, we get out there. Neither of us have been on the lake. I'm 17 years old. We get down there, and then we're fishing like right down by the dam. And I throw my jerkbait out there, catch like a 6-pounder, and we're both like dialed in on this jerkbait bite. Then all of a sudden, that's gone out the window. So what ended up happening is he started after that went out the window, started fishing a little bit shallower, started flipping, and he was flipping like a D bomb or a beaver or something like that. And the so funny story about this is we get out there and he's catching them on this very specific color, and it's like a banana, bruised banana or something or other. And I'm like, what is going on? And he's wrecking. Like he'd punch a mat and just got him. And like he runs out of them and ends up going to the store and coming back, and there's like 6 guys sitting around. He's like, I got the color, and he brings the color back. That ain't it. That ain't it. And he ended up buying like 2 or 3 different colors and figuring out that wasn't it. So then the rest of the week we were just messing with him. And I if I'm not wrong, he had a baby, a very young baby at the time that he had just left. And I think it was a baby boy, I think. And he ended up going to like buying like a baby t-shirt that was like said like Gunnersville or something on it. And it was actually like purple or pink for this baby boy. And it was just like the funniest thing whenever he got back to the house because his colors were just all mixed up that week. But it was pretty fun.
Oh, that's good stuff right there. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well,
And he's still got a box of either crankbaits or jerkbaits in mine.
Huh?
They went MIA, and they were mega basses too.
He probably sold it at the show the other day.
Yeah, there's a good chance.
Or either he did or his son did. Because his son sold he sold most of his stuff to Moody at a cheap price.
That's a deal.
We're gonna get in trouble.
Does he not do the baits not have a name on the package that he can go buy the same thing?
He did not, because he bought
them in bulk.
He bought them in bulk, and I think it was D bombs, and it was like a big pack of them, and he only had so many of them left with no label, no color, no nothing.
I mean, you would think that he would put a note in the right on the package something.
Hey, I mean, I do know one thing is he ended up catching him that tournament.
He did.
He did. So it worked out, but
Mhm.
it was a funny story.
That
This
is
is-
funny.
This is great because we can pull this out because he's not here. We
Yeah.
can pull this out anytime we want to
Yeah.
moving forward.
Open season. Not
Moody
here.
says he'll sell those baits back to you.
Yeah.
And I'll help Mark. If you tell him what colors, yeah, he'll go ahead and get those pulled up for you and he'll sell them back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 7 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. So I have no clue. But
Oh, goodness.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about your last tournament. How'd you
Yes.
do?
Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk about Lake the Ozarks because that was a little bit better of a finish.
Okay.
I'll keep that one short, and then I'll go to Kentucky Lake. So Lake the Ozarks was brutal. Water temp was like 35 degrees when we first
Iced
got there.
over.
Iced over. You couldn't fish anything but the main lake from about PB2 to the dam, which is only about half the lake. And that lake is known for, it's kind of like Grand, where it's like big sticks. So you're talking A-rigs, big jigs, a jerk bait, rock crawler, like no Demiki rig, wacky rig, not a whole lot of that. And moral of the story is those fish, they had pulled like 80,000 to 100,000 cubic square feet of water, and it was that cold. So those fish locked to the bottom and then grouped up and schooled up super heavily. And it was like good luck trying to catch one. And I ended up catching my fish on a crappie jig underneath, on a Bobby Garland, underneath schools of crappie. I'm not joking, you guys. And I would throw it out there, and basically I would see the crappie jig go underneath the school of crappie, but then past that I couldn't see it on live scope, and I was just kind of hopping it, using it on the bottom, and just get tight, and you'd catch fish. But that was brutal. So long week, but I ended up 18th in that one, so I can't complain. That was a fun week because it was warm too, and I got to fish with Larry Brumley, which is my high school boat captain, and he signed up. He's my co for the Toyotas this year, so it was just a fun week, and got to stay with my mom, and just good camaraderie and having fun. But so right after day 3 of the Toyota, I immediately left, drove to Kentucky Lake, which was my last event, which was last week, and got up the next morning and started practice. And typically that lake's like known for the stump bite and the bar bite and like shallow offshore, but offshore. And I went and did that for one day, had like 2-3 bites, wasn't anything crazy. And everybody at the house was like, "Oh, we're catching them shallow on a crankbait and a chatterbait." And I'm like, okay. And I go out there the next day, cranked for about 3-4 hours and had like 13, 14 pounds with 4 fish. I was like, so I ended up trying to pursue that, and it was the right call because a lot of the guys out of the top 10 did do that, but there's very specific stretches that those guys caught them on. And day 1 of the tournament, I'm going to go back real quick. So it was cold again. It went from warm at Lake the Ozarks to back to cold. And on the off days, since on the opens we have an off day now, I get a text from John Sukup. He's like, "Hey, you want to go golfing?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not? I'm not doing nothing." So John, Josh Pallades, Jacob Welch, Jonathan Van Dam, and then a couple other guys, but we all went out there golfing. We're like, we bought 18. We're ready to go. We get out there. No joke. We golfed 4 holes, and we're like, we're done. We're like, it is too cold for this stuff out here. But yeah, so we ended up golfing barely 9 holes and got our deal and got back. But that was just miserable. because I mean, I didn't know golfing. I mean, I figured we'd be in trees and whatnot. False information. We're like on top of a hill looking over Big Sandy, and the wind is just coming up on us. I'm like, this ain't it.
At the state park.
At the state park, Paris State Park there, yeah.
I like that course, actually.
It seemed like a really nice course, but the wind and the cold just got to me. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Your coach stayed with us this week or last week for the college event. And he's like, "You want to go golfing?" And he said, "Is it too cold to go golfing?" And I said, "No, it's not." But neither one of us could get away, so we ended up not going. But I've played with Rick at that state park course several times
Rick, he's probably just complaining
over the years. Yeah,
Mhm.
they had a good tournament though.
They did.
The team did
Yeah, I think what second place,
second and a third.
third, and then yeah, they did.
I think one more maybe in the top 10. I
Yeah, I
think they
think
had
there was
3
a
in the top
seven.
10. And Coach Owen, he stayed here too with the Murray State. They won it, and then McKendree did well. I think they had a couple in the top 10.
Yeah, that story is pretty cool about the guy that won though.
Yes.
Because what's the story there?
So apparently they broke a trim, something to do with their trim in the morning on the way down lake. And they were broke down, and so they just stopped and fished. And wherever they stopped, they landed on them and caught like 4. They just fished that same stretch. They caught 4 good ones or decent ones. And I think their coach met him at Shangri-La or something and was able to get it going enough where they could make it back. And I was talking to him after the tournament. This is a pretty cool part of the story. They had 4 fish and they came back, and the kid said that they caught a fish like with 5 minutes left across, where those docks are on the other side of Wolf Creek. He said they caught a fish with like 5 minutes left, and that did it for them. That won them the tournament. I think they might have won without it because it was like a 2-pounder, and I think they won by 4 pounds or something. But they might have, I think. But anyway, after church, we're at dinner with some friends or lunch with some friends who own one of those docks over there. And he said, he was telling me that he was watching a couple college kids fish over there, and they caught a fish and went crazy. And I said, yeah, those are the guys that won probably, because it was right before. He said they caught it and they went crazy and they ran over to the weigh-in. And I'm like, yeah, that was probably them. So I know exactly which dock it was. But yeah, that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, I heard the jury boys were telling me about that because I keep in touch with them fairly. The guys, the upperclassmen right now.
Yeah,
they were telling me that story. I was like, that's incredible because that's just one of those days it's just meant to be. That's just your day.
Yep, exactly.
But
so let's go back. Let's go back all the way to your juniors or how you got started in all this.
I'm gonna turn on these lights real quick because the sun just went down. 1 second.
There you
go. Okay. So going back to the juniors. So it's actually a really cool story, I think. So I don't know if any of you guys know, but my father passed away when I was basically less than a year old. So I never and I lived in Overland Park, Kansas, and didn't wasn't involved in the outdoors a whole lot, but my mom got me involved in Boy Scouts. And and that got me into the outdoors and started fishing and whatnot. And my dad did buy a 18-foot ski boat, like a 1986 ski boat, VIP, way back in the day, and we still have that boat today. But more of the stories, we would go out to Hillsdale Lake, right out there, and we'd go tubing and skiing all the time. And through that, and Boy Scouts, started getting into fishing. And we would always go to Bass Pro. I'd ask my mom to take me to Bass Pro all the time. We'd go, and so many times we would see the fishing manager there. And one day he came up to my mom and I was like, "Hey, so like, what do you think about getting Brock into a local club?" And I was like, "Let's do it." And my mom was like, "Let's do it." So we ended up finding a club and ended up landing in the Topeka Junior Hogs Club. And that's kind of where it all started. It's a pretty crazy story to get to that point, even for what it is. And through that, I met Larry Brumley, which is one of the most influential person in my life, I would say.
I got. I don't want to. I do want to interrupt. I got one question
Okay.
while I'm thinking about it. How many times over the years did Larry Brumley, with you in the boat, hit the dock at launch? Like when he's going by the dock.
Oh, that's a good question. I
You
did not
complete
know that.
the fifth. You complete the fifth.
You can plead the fifth if you want.
I'll plead the fifth on that one.
But I know when I was tournament director or running the tournaments in Kansas, it was every time.
Yeah, he's the nicest guy.
He is
though,
the
in
nicest.
world.
Yes, he is.
We're picking on him, but we love him.
We love
right?
Yes.
Larry's awesome.
I mean, the fact that he's been bass fishing now, I mean, even when we were at Lake the Ozarks talking, just fishing on the boat, he was telling me stories about when lakes opened up in Kansas, and he was the second one at the boat ramp, and there was a pontoon that was in front of him, and they were having issues, and he was able to get his boat in the water, and they just railed him that day. Like, he's got stories that, in my age, there's no new lakes that are popping up, and it's just really cool to hear him. He's just such a good dude.
Yep.
But
okay, back to your story.
yeah,
Sorry for the sidetrack.
All good.
He's really doing well dodging these. I like it.
I kind of forgot where I was. Not gonna lie to you guys.
You met Larry.
Met Larry. Yeah,
that
Club.
pretty much just blows your mind right there.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. But I met Larry, and I think it was every 2 or 3 weeks, my mom would drive me from Overland Park to Topeka, and we'd go to the Pizza Hut, and we had our club meeting there. And that's kind of where it all started. And Larry would come in and talk to us, and he took me and Thomas under his wing and fished. Basically, I might be wrong on this, but I think the first year I fished youth was the first year youth bass underneath Bassmaster became a thing. I could be wrong on that.
High school, 2013.
So I was born in 2000, so I would have been 13 at that point.
I got shoes older than you.
I know. It's crazy to think about back then, just how far that the whole program and bass fishing has come from then. But yeah, exactly. Like, I remember I was like a year or two younger than Thomas, and I was able to fish up through that because he was of age to fish that program, and that's those were some fun years because we got to not only fished Big Hill, Wilson, Melbourne, Lacine, all those fisheries, but we got lucky enough to do really good in Kansas because Larry's a heck of a boat captain and was able to put us on some fish, and we were able to catch them, and we got to go travel to Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky Lake. Um, it you know those those are some very good memories of mine. Because I mean, even going to Kentucky Lakes, I haven't been there since I did boat captain for one national championship for my fiance's brother and friend. But other than that, I was only there with Larry. And I remember driving around that lake and going to the hotel because this one hotel is like you pull into the hotel and you don't know if you want to check underneath the bed. It's one of those you're like, I don't know about that. um, just fun memories all around there. But yeah, it's been incredible through high school, and then ended up moving down to Lewisburg, Kansas, and pursued bass fishing a little bit more in depth there because I played hockey and soccer and baseball, all the typical youth sports and high school sports. In my, I think it was my junior year because I was driving from Lewisburg to Independence, Missouri, like 3 times a week to go practice for hockey. And I told my mom, I'm like, I'm done with this because it was practice would start at like 9:30, and then I wouldn't get home on a weeknight till 12:30, and I was like, I'm out. So I didn't end up deciding my senior year just focusing on fishing, and I'm to this day I'm very grateful for that decision and the support from my mother for me to do that because I'm living my dream like right now. It's pretty crazy to think about. And so I ended up fishing super hard my senior year, and I bought a little 16-foot deep V aluminum boat that I was able to get out there on my own, and got lucky enough and sent some applications to some colleges and ended up got accepted to jury, and that's when that whole college fishing started, and that's a whole nother deal right there because there's a lot that goes into that.
Yep. In were you recruited by more than one school?
There
Like
was
did you get some answers, or I guess some looks from some other schools?
Yes, there was 3 schools. There was I can't remember it now, but there was one in South Carolina, one in Alabama, and then jury. And I ended up going with jury just for 2 reasons. Of number one, it was close enough to home where I could go back there if I wanted, and then the second part for me personally was the financial situation of jury paid for gas, hotel, license, every single aspect of bass fishing because we couldn't afford it, and that just made the most sense for me to try to pursue this dream.
Yeah. I mean, college fishing has come a long ways. There's a few schools out there that give like full tuition, whatever. There's a few. It's not a lot. And then back in the beginning, there was a few that paid a little bit, and then there's it kind of morphed into there's quite a few schools that don't give like full tuition. They might give a scholarship, and then but then they pay, like you said, they pay for everything. They pay for the hotels, they pay for gas, they pay for meals, so that's pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, because it gives everybody knows on fishing on a professional level or when you're traveling like that, it's extremely expensive. Like if you go out of town, you're looking 2 grand a week,
Mhm.
depending where you go and gas prices and blah blah blah. But um, that was one main reason why, or that's a huge reason why I went, and that's college bass fishing, and Bassmaster has provided that, and MLF has the same thing now, and ACA all provides platforms. But that was, and I didn't have a boat either. I did not. Well, I took my 16-foot deep V aluminum um, single axle trailer, but I never fished out of it for a couple of years, or I never used it in a college tournament. But
You
it
fished with
definitely.
You fished with that crazy kid. What's his name? Hunter?
That guy. Yes. I fished for the old Hunter Baird for my freshman year there.
Yeah.
I got a story there if we have time.
Oh
for
my!
Go for it.
Always have a
All
beard
right,
story.
Wait a
so
minute. Do we need to text him and tell him it's getting ready to have a story on here?
you might. I know he's got this one memorized because this was a game-changing experience for us. So I think it was one of the first events because school started in the fall, and the Dardanelle ACA tournament is always in the fall every year, and we get down there, and it was legal, where we were able to go out fishing with someone, and the Bears had knew someone down there, and we went out there and went fishing, and all the research that we've done of Dardanelle, it's like, oh, 12 pounds a day, you're doing money, you're doing good. And we get down there and we go fishing, we had like 20, 22 pounds. And we're like, okay, all right, we're doing good. And so we're freshmen, and you have all these upperclassmen. And I'm not saying this is Hunter's fault. It was definitely a combined decision. But with him being the boater in my previous travel tournaments, I was like, he's the boater. He makes the decisions. Whatever he says goes. And he was like, oh, we're just going to sleep in for a little bit this morning. And I'm like, all right, sounds good, man. I love sleep. So we fall asleep. And the next morning, it was, before sunrise, we on our door, bang, 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 bang. We're like, we wake up and we're like yelling, shut up, leave. And it was the upperclassmen telling us to get up. And, we were young, dumb freshmen, didn't know anything better. So we're just like, oh, we're sleeping, get out of here. So what the upperclassmen did is I don't know how they had this much time, but they went to the grocery store or the gas station, bought 2 dozen bananas, came back, took the graphs off of Hunter's boat that he left on, hid the graphs, and put bananas everywhere in the boat. And Hunter was pissed.
How long was it before you got your graphs back?
It was about mid-morning because they hit them well in the boat, like underneath life jackets and underneath tackle, and why the boat was unlocked and Dardanelle at a hotel, I don't know. But, that was a funny story my freshman year with Hunter. And we learned our lesson because those upperclassmen went to old Rick Emmett, and we got the beams that day. We got that phone call, and we were like, all right, note taken, do not do that. Sun up to sundown every day.
But coach,
we caught 22 pounds. We're fine. Funny thing is, we ended up catching like 3 bass that tournament. So.
Oh my!
But yeah, Hunter and I had some good times. Him and I were dorm. We lived in the same dorm together, also. So we had some fun times, and we ended up moving into a house together after we kind of got out of the college dorm and apartment situation our sophomore or junior year, and we lived with Bo Browning, there for a year and a half or so, and those are some fun times. But I got really blessed on is a guy from Lewisburg. I became really good friends with his daughter, and he ended up buying a. It was one of those situations where it's kind of like today, how I'm on this podcast right now. It just kind of worked out. It was a perfect situation where the guys from Lewisburg did a little bit of tournament bass fishing, had a Z9 Nitro, and it was actually Timmy Horton's old boat. And he bought a house down at Table Rock, and he was like, "Hey, if you want to use this boat for college tournaments, it's all yours. Take it." And I was like, "Thank you, thank goodness! Like this is amazing." And I was, so excited to be able to go as a boater because there's such a huge difference. Like um, I'm not trying to say anything bad, but as a co-angler, you just can't make those decisions and learn as much as you are in the boater position. Deciding where you're going to fish, what techniques you're going to use, situations like that, and that was probably one of the biggest things in my college career that changed my whole path of my life. Because he let me use that nitro, and I took that thing and not gonna lie, abused it for 3 years. Took it from up north to Saginaw Bay, down to Texas on Rayburn, to Florida 4 or 5 times, and that's until my late senior year, I never had my own boat, and he let me use that nitro. And one story in Pacific, I remember he had bought a Skeeter after I started using it, and he called me, and we call all the time, we talk, and he's like, "Hey, so what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm on Smith Lake and for a college Bassmaster tournament." He's like, "Oh, you got my boat?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, all right, sweet." I'm like, "Oh, I thought I texted you." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I just never looked." So I mean, most awesome guy in the world, and I'm very blessed to have that. But but yeah, that's basically my college story, and had some success in college, nothing crazy. Had some top threes. Never, I mean, to this day, I've never had a win on a national level, but college was pretty good.
So after college,
Yeah, so after college, so I started working for Baitworks my into sophomore year of college, and my degree is in multimedia design, so graphic design, video work, photography, that group of professions, and in turn got an internship slash job and was able to work through Baitworks all the way through my senior year. And in turn, they had Boatworks at the time, which they're no longer a company, but they were a Camus dealer. And through that, was able to make some connections and was able to barely buy a boat. And through that, Baitworks sponsored NPFL for their first and second year. I think in the third year is when I joined. And basically Baitworks, because I wanted to go take it to the next level after college. And the guys over there that owned it was like, "Hey, we would like you to go fish the NPFL." And I'm like, "I'd love to." And so I ended up taking that opportunity, and I remember going to ICAST that year and trying to pull together some sponsors, and some, fishing costs money. So I had to go get some sponsor dollars and try to work that game, and ended up pulling it all together where I could go do it. And it was, I remember calling Travis Birch that, before the season started, and we went in pre-practice on Logan Martin, and I'm like, he's like, "All right, what's your goal this year? Like, what's overall out of the 6 tournaments? What's your goal?" I'm like, "Cut 2 checks and make a live camera once." That's what I told Travis when we went, and it was an incredible season. I think I had 3 or 4 top tens. I only missed 1 check, and I ended up finishing third in AOY points against Bassmaster elite anglers, and a bunch of other anglers that are really, really, really good fishermen. And it was just a really fun time, and I had a videographer following me the whole year, and we produced some really good YouTube content that even today, every once in a while, my family and I will look back on it and just kind of watch the video just for looking back at it, and
Mm.
proposed to my fiance Lauren on one of the tournaments at Pickwick. So we like looking back on those, but it was incredible year last year.
So I think the guy we were supposed to have on finished second.
Fourth.
Fourth,
He
yeah.
fished. He was right behind Brock.
Okay.
It was Kyle Welcher that got AOI, Drew Cook, me, and then Lewis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Very cool. Do you still work for Baitworks? How do you pay the bills other than fishing? Or do you?
Yes, I still currently do work for Baitworks.
Okay. I mean, you got to have a good relationship like that. I mean, you got to pay the bills if you're not cutting a check. I mean, it's great to cut a check every time, but you got to have something to go back on, right?
Oh yeah, because if you're basing your income off making money off checks from bass fishing, it's more than likely it's not going to end well, unless you're one of those guys that just catches them every single tournament. But even then, it's pretty hard to make a living off of just winning.
Yeah. Do you have sponsorships other than Baitworks enough to pay the bills fishing wise?
Yeah. So my first year, it was very Baitworks influenced, but this year, from my success last year, I was able to pick up some really good sponsors to enable me to fish more tournaments and try to heavily more pursue it. With GSM Outdoors, so Yamamoto, Bill Lewis, Phoenix Rods, Buckeye Lures, that whole team right there really helped me out this year. And then I got on with Hook, and obviously Travis with K Yard. He's been a supporter even from in high school, but the sponsor game is one thing that does not get talked enough about. I think in the bass fishing world on the level that I'm competing on, and other levels, but it's not an easy thing to do.
Is that something that how do I want to word this? Is that something that you got a better understanding through college fishing?
Yes.
Through
no
the college
doubt.
program, it was more about promotion and the business side.
Yes.
Cool.
That's one thing college. I won't say this to my mom, but I'll say it on here to a bunch of fishermen. Is college taught me more about bass fishing than it did about actual schooling in real life situations, because at the end of the day with sponsorships, it's about what you can provide to the company, not what the company can give you.
Sure.
And you can say that broad, but you have to be able to put dollar signs on what you can return back to the company, rather that's hard dollars of you giving them sales or social media content, which is what I specialized in college. And that's how I was able to get most of my financial support last year, was to be able to provide video, drone, lifestyle pictures, website. I did some website design for a couple of different companies. That's how I was able to get the money to be able to go do it.
Very cool. I'm looking at the comments too. Dominic Cavett checking in and saying hi, and he seems to suggest that maybe he has a story or two to share at some point.
Oh boy, he does. I'm gonna
We'll save
looking.
that another time. But
Yeah.
but going back to what you said, your content is amazing, dude. That when I look at stuff and because I'm trying to teach myself, and teaching yourself is when you're as old as I am, is like peeing up a rope.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Um, because your entire generation has grown up with everything we're doing right now. You've just improved upon it. We've had to teach ourselves how to use it in the first place. So we're, you know,
Yep.
and when I look at trying to make something for a potential sponsor or just, some promo deal for the show or whatever, I look at your stuff and I'm just like, I might as well be drawn with crayons out here. It's great. And that's what you went to school for. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it was definitely indirect because I'll also say this is the reason why I ended up going on that route because it seems like I don't know what you see, John, but with college guys, everybody's like, oh, just get like a general business degree, and
Yeah.
or a general marketing degree or something
Marketing.
like that, where it's
Mhm.
just super general and whatever,
Yeah.
which is totally fine if that's what you're wanting to do, and which I won't lie. The reason why I went the route I went is because there's no math classes.
Smart.
and,
Smart.
and I mean, no lie. That's why I went to the multimedia and technically the communication side of it because there's no math classes, and I'm super glad I did because it has worked out really really well so far.
That's awesome. So NPFL was last year, and then you stepped away, and you are now fishing the Opens and the Toyota Series. Trying to are you trying to make the elites? I mean, what's your goal there?
Yep, the end goal is the elites. That's been my dream for ever since I was in youth fishing, and that's in my eyes that's the top of the game on the skill level, and publicity and just that's I think that's where professional fishing sits. In That's just my opinion. I know a lot of guys have different opinions on that, um, but that's my goal. And I knew going from the NPFL to the Opens there was going to be a skill difference there. Um, there's a lot of really good anglers on the NPFL, and obviously you have Drew Cook, Kyle Welcher, Lewis, Isaac Peavyhouse, Bailey Gay. There's a ton of guys that are just hammers over there. But going in the Opens where you over double the field and at there's a lot of sub 24-year-olds that know live scope, know their electronics, have fished through college, been on all these lakes. They get it. That you're that's I know everybody says that's the gauntlet, and so far this year I 100% experienced that, and it both finishes of mine. I think it's like a 74th and 104th finish. Um, Not good at all, but I'm sitting like 74th in points right now, and you have to be top 50 to make it into that EQ qualifier the last three tournaments of the year. So I'm not sitting bad by any means. As long as I catch fish, don't have any huge bombs, I think I'll be able to make it. But it's just staying consistent, especially in the Opens against that many guys. But that's the overall dream is to make it to the elites one day.
Are you fishing just one division?
Yes, sir. Just I was gonna fish two, but the way that they set up the scheduling and the lakes that they were on with Division Two was Clarks Hill, Tom Bigby River, one can't remember what the other one is, but then St. Lawrence River. That is like the St. Lawrence River for me is like 26, 27 hours just for one tournament. Clarks Hills in South Carolina, so you're talking 12 to 15, or North Carolina, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
and just all that travel and expenses right there was like that just doesn't make sense financially. So that's why I ended up jumping into the Plains division of the Toyotas just to get some more fishing in. That was the only reason for the Toyotas, just to more content, get out there, keep my skills sharp.
Yeah. It's hard for me to keep track of all these leagues and where you go. Is there a way? Is there a path to the BPT through the Toyota series?
There is. It's my opinion kind of dumb because the next step above the Toyota series is the invitationals. And technically, you have to qualify through the Toyotas to fish the invitationals. But the past 2 to 3 years, you haven't had to qualify. Anybody that has fished a Toyota or has not even fished a Toyota, if they have the money to do so, they'd
Mhm.
let you in. They'd let you in the invitationals.
Yeah. Any desire at all to go that route?
Not really for me. If the stars aligned and Bassmaster didn't work out and it was right there, I'd probably take it. But
I just so the to me, um, when the MLF started, I didn't think there was any comparison, like any how would if I was able to fish professionally, I had no desire to go. I would have no desire to go the MLF route. But with what they've done with the rules and the, you know, 1 hour, one period of forward facing and two without or whatever,
yeah,
I think that's very cool. And for the viewer and for the fan, I think it's a pretty good compromise. And I find myself leaning like if I was able to do it, I would consider it. At this point, I mean, $150,000 per tournament for a top prize now, and you're going to be competing against less. I'm not trying to talk you into it, by the way.
no,
I hope you make the elites, but 150 grand, and they're going to be down to 50 anglers for that top prize of 150. That's pretty. Now, granted, the entry fee's a little more too. I think it's like 7 grand or something per event, but pretty enticing. I think they're doing an okay job, uh, trying to make their platform enticing.
for sure. And I totally agree with everything you said there because it's like that it adds more variables to the tournament and the skill aspect of it of being able to compete with forward facing sonar, without forward facing sonar, and being the most consistent angler. Um, the I don't know why, but I think they have what 40 anglers that are competing on the BPT now. I could be
66 this year, and it'll be 50 next year.
50. Okay, so 66 and then 50.
Yep.
Um, I don't know why this is, but the for me, but the I just think the skill level of the overall anglers on Bassmaster. No, I'm not talking smack on anybody on MLF, but I'm just saying overall, I think Bassmaster has the cream of the crop anglers at all times that are always revolving through those doors.
Yeah.
Um, and
I
and
think
that's
I agree with that. I
yeah,
agree with that. I think the path is. I think the path is harder, like you said, because you've got. Yeah, I mean, they're just letting people fish if they can afford it. That's not happening in the opens. There's full fields and everybody's wanting to do it, and they had to come up with a whole new EQ thing just to because they had to make it uh, a better qualifying system. So you know, I think I agree with that.
yeah. That's there's many different ways that guys view bass fishing. So you have the guys that take it from the financial aspect, which if you take it from the financial part, MLF is 100% the way to go on the BPT side of it, I think. And then you have the guys wanting just to compete against really good guys, prove their skill, get better, and be that top dog. And then you have the guys that want to do it for clout and, have that, oh, I'm big honcho. I got, I'm on this tour, blah, blah, blah. I think there's like different ways that different anglers look at tournament bass fishing, and it just kind of depends on where your beliefs line up at. But
Yep. And I think a lot of that has to do with the five fish and weighing in on a stage and in front of people and getting a chance, getting a microphone in your face to thank your sponsors, and having people hear them, not just,
yeah,
when Bobby Lane won the tournament, on the Harris chain, there's family and a few anglers there, and they're popping off streamers and stuff, and that's it.
yeah.
There's no, Lurch interviews them, and that's it. So that has a lot to do with it, I think.
Mhm. And just be transparent about it. Red Crest versus the Bassmaster Classic.
Well, there's no comparison.
Yeah, that's another thing that
Yeah.
Making the classic is almost every bass fisherman's dream.
Hmm.
So that's just kind of the route that I want to go. But
Yeah, that's cool.
it's fun stuff. Trying to make it a dream.
Brandon Ackerson is commenting in here. I'm not sure where Brandon is in the standings. Maybe he'll tell us right quick if he's
No,
in.
he's 63rd, 64th, I think.
Okay, so he's in good shape. Pretty good shape. Have a couple decent tournaments, and he'll be in the top 50. Yeah.
He caught him at Kentucky. He lined up for his style of fishing too. Old Grand Lake hammer there.
Yeah. We'll have to have Brandon on here pretty soon when we get a chance. Oh,
What in the world? What is that?
Oh yeah, that was a super fun tournament.
where was it?
That was
Don't say Wilson.
Lake of the Ozarks. Or wasn't it Lake of the Ozarks, Danny?
Yeah, it was the river.
Yeah, out of Warsaw. Because we were running like to the dam from Warsaw and having to refill on gas, and that was a fun one.
And then that goofy ass tournament director moved the tournament in the middle of the night.
What?
I don't remember this.
When we went out of Drake Harbor, and they scheduled 3 other events on top of us for the second day, I took us up to
Bledsoe.
Yeah,
Bledsoe.
Yeah, we went up to Bledsoe for Sunday, which worked out great, but added a little bit of drive for you.
Yeah. I remember on that second day running in on fumes, and thank you to Danny and Jesse, and there's someone I can't remember there. I brought in a bunch of fish, and I fished with Steve that day, and we got back, and I had fizzed my fish, but they had floated belly up again, but they were alive. And I weighed in like 30, 40 minutes early just to make sure that they didn't die. We got them in those tanks and tried to take care of them. But that was a fun tournament. And I think Larry won that, if I believe. He beat me by like a pound or two just fishing right by takeoff. I spent all that gas money running all the way down there, running
Yeah.
back, and Larry's just whooping my butt. I was like,
When you're standing on the bank watching everybody leave, you know those things, but you don't say those things. I mean, you come out of Drake Harbor and you turn right.
There's
What? What are you doing? So then I drove over to the dam and went, oh, to the spillway. And like, oh, okay, yeah.
I get it now. It's
Oh, looky there.
Oh God, here we go.
Travis
that,
Birch.
that was, I mean, when's the last time you've heard of a 27-pound bag in Kansas?
Last year.
Yeah, we heard all about it.
Cedar Bluff, but not Lacine.
Yeah, Cedar Bluff.
Oh, that's awesome. Was it 27? I couldn't remember for sure.
It was 27 or 28. Yeah, it was 27 and change. But that was the funny thing was I was just back home for the holidays, and Travis was like, "Hey, you wanna fish this tournament?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not?" And he ran it, and so I was planning on getting off the water about 10 a.m. and going hanging out with family and doing like I think it was Thanksgiving. And by like 9 or 10 a.m., we had like 22 pounds with like 4 fish. And I'm like, and I called my family. I'm like, hey, sorry guys, I gotta stay. We gotta stay for this one. That was fun.
Well, I'm glad that even though you're on national tour, you can still jump in those local stuff at home.
Oh yeah, that's where bass fishing is really. That's for me. Like I love being able to go, even like BFLs, fishing those local tournaments, and like I'm gonna try to make Grand Lake for the KBN tournament in November. I think it is
October 15th.
October 15th.
No, no, it's not October 15th.
It's
Isn't it
November.
Okay,
It's
I was
November.
like, I'm pretty sure it's November, but John and Danny would probably know better than me.
Yeah.
It's November. I'm just another reason for me to not throw my money in.
Oh, come on.
Rock's coming.
You could go no boater.
I might just do that. I might just do that.
Yeah.
That'll be a fun one though, because they should be shallow.
Should
But-
be.
As long as the weather depending. But I just love fishing local tournaments because you know everybody, right? And everybody's fishing style, and you know kind of how the bite lays out, and that's just something that I love. Like this tournament that I actually called John about staying this weekend. There's 6 boats in this tournament, and that's what I love to do. I just love to fish. And
What tournament is it? Did you say?
it's SOMO SOMO Bassmaster.
It's like a club tournament.
It's like a Kansas Bass Nation, but for Missouri. But they just started the club or the
I guess
or whatever.
yeah.
I guess
that
they're
this
not
year.
they're not worried about getting a lake permit. I guess
Yeah, plead the fifth.
it's not on my permit list. That's not the only small tournament that does that. Trust me.
Oh, I'm sure. Are you going to have a clipboard now with a highlighter and like double check all these pot tournaments, see if they have a
Heck
permit?
yeah.
He's going to be like the course marshal at the golf course.
Yeah, he's gonna be calling them, reporting
Where are
them
you
every single
staying?
time.
Yeah.
Where are you staying if
You
you're
need
not
to pick it
staying
up.
here?
You've been here too long.
You can come down on Wednesdays and fish the ABA division I'm running.
Is that Saturday?
It's on Wednesdays.
Oh, it's on Wednesdays.
March 26th is the first one.
Oh, we're checking. While you're checking, Chris Johnson commented, and he was talking about the Drake Harbor Derby and said that was a fun tournament, and it absolutely was.
Yeah, that perfectly scheduled too. Shout out to the tournament director on that one.
I got lucky one time in 8 years.
that the schedule, like they were running water and it was perfect. So the 26th of March is we get back from the classic that the 25th, and then I leave for Norfolk that Saturday. So I'm probably gonna pass on that because I need to get myself redialed in for Norfolk, but because there's like a 3-4 day break there.
Well, it's on the schedule if you want to look it up. ABA Oklahoma Division 65.
65. All right. I'm sure I'll try to make it down there. I need to fish Grand more. I don't fish it a whole lot, but
He could. Brandon said he can't fish those, which is kind of true, sort of. You can't fish them if you're a pro that has paid $675 entry fee 2 times or more in the last 2 months.
I've never had an entry fee over $5,500.
$675.
Whoopsies. Never mind then.
Brandon said you can't fish them.
Well,
I guess Brandon can't fish them either,
no, he can't.
which is a good thing for me. Although Moody's fishing, which is not a bad thing, which is not a good thing for me. I need really nobody to fish.
Come on now.
That way I can win maybe once.
Well, schedule them all like.
I mean, I did my best.
Tuesday
I put them
night
on Wednesdays.
I was gonna say a Wednesday tournament for. I mean,
No,
not many guys can do that.
Kojak said he's going to fish some. Somebody else, Big Stick, said he's going to fish some. So probably not going to win any of those either.
Brandon was telling me about a tournament y'all have down there, a series it's like only the hammers, and there's like 60 to 80 boats, and it's just like Grand Lake guys team tournaments.
Future Bass, is that maybe what he's talking about?
There was one a week or two ago.
There was one a couple weeks ago, Future Bass.
It is probably that one then. I was curious. I forgot what Brandon said on that one, but
Moody fishes Future Bass, and Kyle. They fished. In fact, I think they got what they get a eighth a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Sounds right.
I think they got eighth. So they compete. Yeah, Moody says it's Future Bass. I mean, all those sticks fish them all. I mean, the Nichols was this last weekend. Took 22 pounds to win it. Champagne and Edwards won it. Alex Torkelson and Bates Enmeyer got second with 21.91. They had Big Fish with 7.14. And then Andy and Micah Little John, you've heard of them. They got third. They are in the top 5 pretty much every tournament. And then Tossie and Moody got 15th this last weekend. And the Nichols got a check. I think there was a lot of people that may have got checks. It was a tough tournament. Moody, they had 11.95 and got 15th place, and this is like a 250 boat tournament. So it was tough. But we had some guys stay here, and one of them called to book some more rooms, and I asked him how he did, and they said, "Well, we would have got a check if we'd have weighed our fish. We had like 9 pounds, and who weighs 9 pounds at Grand?" So I think there was probably a lot of people that threw back 9 or 10 pounds last weekend and are kicking themselves that they might have got a check.
Where are they learning this from? They've been watching this show and following you, John.
Me, I mean, I only did that 2 weeks in a row last year, but I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. Ever. I mean, I had like 11 pounds today.
Hey, that's a big bag there.
I mean, first time I've been on Grand this year, or second time. But
Hey, just saying, we need more boaters in that Somo Bassmaster this weekend.
how much is it?
I think it's like $120 for the entry fee.
How many boats is there?
6 currently.
Do they have co-anglers? Or you fish by yourselves, or
They do have co-anglers. That's
do you have to? Are you guaranteed a co-angler, or is it just if there's 6?
in this one there is, or I'm not going to say guaranteed, but they have more co-anglers than they do have boaters. Like the first one was on Table Rock like a month ago, and there was like 17, 18 boats, and there was less co-anglers than boaters. But in this one, with it being semi out of town, they have less boaters and more co-anglers. You know, food for thought.
Yeah. Moody's thinking about it right now. I guarantee it. Has he got something else this weekend? Anglers in Action is this weekend here. It'll be pretty crowded.
Ooh.
Yeah, Anglers in Action is here.
That's they'll probably pull what 180, 200.
Maybe. I don't know if they get that here. They might get 150, maybe. I don't know. They might get more than that. See, Moody's asking, what day is it?
It's a 2-day, Saturday and Sunday, but you only pay 1 entry fee. So that's good and bad, however you want to view it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Devin Pino checking in.
Heck yeah, Devin.
Hey, Devin. This is just a question for you and nobody else. So you guys don't pay attention. What is the greatest table tennis match you've ever watched in your life?
Do you actually have that video, Danny?
I sure do.
Oh gosh.
So no, I'm not going to share
is it,
right now.
I was going to say, is it
It wasn't that awesome.
I mean, is it family friendly where we could watch it?
No,
No.
no, it's not.
If that wasn't a quick yes, then no.
Please send that to me, Danny, because
I will. It's not as great as I make it sound, but it's pretty funny.
hey, I'd love to keep it for memories, because that week was like just a fun week because we were fishing the Arkansas River, the ditch, and fishing was just terrible. We had a good time at the house every evening, but just for memory's sake.
That was fun. That was a fun week.
Yeah.
So Aoki won that tournament at Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
With a mixed bag. Do you know what he was doing?
He was fishing shallow bars with stumps and a shell bed and doing that deal. One thing we were talking about long runs. Laker Hal, I think he dropped the last day.
Yeah.
But he had 20 plus pound bags day one, day two. He was running 148 miles one way both days.
Yeah.
Dang.
So close to 300 miles every day, having to refuel. And he was running from Paris, Tennessee to the Pickwick Dam. And I remember I'm like all mad and I'm like, I'm stink fishing. I can't catch nothing. And we hop on live. As I'm driving home, I turn it on and it's like, I don't know, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And the guys running live, they're like, yeah, so here's everybody in your top 10, but we're still waiting on Laker Hal. He's getting close to his fishing spot.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
he finally got there and they're like, all right, we're going to zoom out. And let's check everybody out. So they 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And all of a sudden they zoom out. And then 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 all of a sudden, like way up here in the top corner, there's Laker Hal. But
Yeah.
that was incredible seeing that because we all joked at the house. We're like, oh, we're gonna run to the Pickwick Dam and catch him. He actually did.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, I saw a little bit of that when he started fishing. When he got there, there was a lady fishing on the shore,
ooh,
throwing out where he was fishing, and that was an interesting conversation. He was very cordial and friendly, and you couldn't really hear what she was saying, but she wasn't cordial and friendly. She was she was wanting to fight.
I mean, heck, if I drove 2.5, 2 hours to a fishing hole, I mean,
And Laker he handled it very good. And he was like, she was saying, I'm fishing here. Well, and he was like, I know, ma'am, I'm sorry. I just run 148 miles and I'm in the top 10. I'm fishing for $50,000. This is how I make my money. It's how I make my living. If you can just let me go by here. But I don't know if she ever did. I don't know if she ever you could hear her chirping. You couldn't hear what she was saying, but you could hear her chirping.
that was one that this past open I thought was really cool though because you had a good mix of not necessarily in the top 10, but overall a really good mix of guys fishing shallow and then a good mix of guys fishing offshore.
So
As a whole.
that bar thing is a hard deal to. I was listening to a podcast. Where was I? I think it was Matt. I think it was Pangrak, BTL. He had John Garrett on, and John was describing the bars, and because Matt Pangrak never tried to figure out the bar thing and couldn't, so he was asking John about it, and John was saying, there's a lot of bars, but 95% of them are no good,
Yeah, dead water.
dead water, and you can't see the fish on the ones this is the way John was explaining it. You can't see the fish on the ones that are good because they like sit on the back side of the bars or in a little depression in the bar, and you can't see them. You can't hardly see them. So you kind of have to know, you know.
Yeah, because that's what I ran into is like on a topo map you can see the ditches and the drains and what's running through there, and number one, it's hard to side scan them to be efficient because you only have 2.5, 3 days of practice, and to be able to side scan the bars because you look at it on a map. I mean, half the lake is a bar that's in 4 foot of water.
Uh-huh.
So good luck trying to figure out even where to side scan them. But then once you do that, trying to drop trolling motor, scope them, or just trying to catch them in general is a whole other issue. But I do have a question, John. So you talked about how BTL had John Garrett on. I know this is odd question, but say if Matt had John prior to the Kentucky Lake Open, could he record a podcast, ask questions about catching fish, and then post it online for public information?
No, because he's a competitor in Kentucky Lake. He could if he wasn't fishing.
But even if it went public?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he's asking the question.
Okay.
No, that if you're asking me as a tournament director, that would not fly.
Okay.
No.
I was just
because
you said that. But.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question because he's got a I think that the intent you would have to ultimately Matt he's not doing this, so I hope nobody's watching and saying Matt is doing this.
No,
but
it's just a question because he did do
let's
that.
Let's say I was fishing the opens and having people on that are familiar with those open lakes and asking questions, recording it and posting it so that it now becomes public. I think that's just a way to skirt the rule, and that would not fly.
Agreed. I was just curious on because you said that, and then it just hit my head. I'm like,
yeah,
huh. But anyways, that was a little rabbit hole. But
yeah, that's another guy we need to get on, John Garrett. Yeah. I mean, crazy times. I mean, we had the 2 DQs in the elites, and then we had one in the NPFL on the final day. I mean, basically the same type of thing. Not intentional, just talking fishing. What do you think about? What do you think about those the rule?
As far as what it's concerned, I don't know on the Matt Heron situation. I haven't heard any of those details or what that actually entailed. But I think it's good because, especially in the past 5 years, it's gotten to a point where it's truly affecting the anglers that are trying to do it ethically and catching fish the right way. But I'll be completely honest about it too. I'm very confused on the situation on the Bassmaster Opens. How I think Travis Parrish, or I can't remember his name exactly, but got not DQ'd, but got fined for getting information, and did not get DQ'd. But he texted an angler that won the BFL the weekend prior of were the fish in the Black Forest, and as far as I'm concerned, he was trying to get information to help him in the tournament, and he didn't get DQ'd. He got to keep his points, and in my mind, it doesn't matter if it didn't affect you in the tournament, which was Bassmaster's decision. He still got information because, say, if he didn't text that guy, he could have went to the Black Forest, and his tournament results could have been different.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion. That's the way I view it, and I also understand that Bassmaster, MLF, and PFL, they're all private organizations. They can make whatever rule decision they want, and that's part of it. I do get that part of it, but it's also a little frustrating from an angler standpoint of, well, if I can go text an angler but not make a tournament decision off of it, I can get away with it. I don't know, but
trying to think how to say this. I think if that was to happen again, it would have been a different turnout.
Which I hope that's the case. But
I think I'm pretty confident in saying if the same thing happens again, maybe not, because this year's precedent is set. But I don't think that'll happen next year. I think the rules will exactly mirror the elites next year. They're a little bit different in the wording this year, which I don't understand why they are. Y'all are trying to qualify for the elites. You should be fishing under the elite rules. So that's where some of the decisions came from, because the rule is slightly worded different. Um, I think if they could go back in time, the decision might be a little different. After what has happened at the Okeechobee and, Palatka, St. John's, you know, I think I don't think that'll happen again
Yeah.
the same way.
And
It's very I mean, the rule is hard to police.
yeah,
The anglers want it. They want the no information, and they want it to be as strict as possible. It's just hard to manage that. It's hard to police it. That's why there's more um, polygraphs going on in the elites. They wanted more. They're going to be more. I guarantee. I will be shocked if there's not more DQs this year. And just because it's hard to pass a polygraph when you're not sure if a conversation that you had with a guy at the gas station is going to get you DQ'd. You're going to be nervous about it.
yeah.
So, but I had this thought about the rule. What if the rule was more specific, even more specific, like to really break down the intent, what your intent is. Are you intending to gather information that's going to give you an advantage? If you're having a conversation at the gas station that you shut down right away, I don't feel like that's intent. If you get a waypoint from a guy at the gas station, that's intent. If you break out a hard topo map and have a guy make an X on it, that's intent. So can the rule be made more uh strict or spelled out by putting in there, you can't receive a waypoint. You can't receive, I mean, I know it's in there already, but
There's got to be a way for them to, in the wording of it, to make it more black and white. But even though I think right now it's pretty much black and white as it is, like what you were saying, where it's like if you have the intent to gather information, that's not allowed. But here we are,
mhm,
type of situation. I don't know how they would do it. I don't know, but I agree with you.
yeah. I mean, the two that happened in the elites, uh, there's a video of the Scott Martin part. There's a video of Scott Martin. So
That's a little bit different.
pretty cut and dry that he did not shut it down. They kept talking about conditions and stuff like that. So that's pretty cut and dry. Matt, I just know one side of the Matt Herron story, and what little the guys at Bass would tell me is they seem pretty confident in their decision. Sometimes as a tournament director, I mean, over my 18 years, there were times when after I made the decision, I'm still not sure that I made the right decision. And you just got to live with that as a tournament director. The folks at Bass are pretty confident they made the right decision in both of these. So, there's stuff we all don't know and probably never will know. Although I did invite Matt to come on the show whenever he's ready. Probably after he gets done suing Bass, but
yeah, because especially on the elites level, there's that decision has a lot more impact than opens or NPFL or
yes.
other tournaments. That's a true livelihood
Yeah.
situation of affecting someone's name and their poll and everything like that. So there's
I mean, the deal with Matt Herron is, there's anglers where when something like this happens, you just from their past, from their things that have happened in the past, from their, their, what we always used to call it, I don't know,
Reputation.
a pattern of behavior, their reputation. There are people that when something like this happens, you go, okay. But Matt Herron is not one of them guys. You won't find hardly anybody. I don't know of anybody that ever would think Matt Herron would break the no information rule. But he did. Per rule, per the way it's written. Per the way it's written. So there maybe needs to be a little bit deeper dive on the I think on the intent and the intent.
Yeah.
Are you intending to gather information or solicit information to gain an advantage over your competitors? Somehow that needs to be, and I'm sure they'll talk about it for hours and days and months in the meetings, this winter. But I would not be surprised if the opens rules exactly mirror the elites next year when they come out. And I also would not be surprised if some form of kind of what the MLF are doing with their 1 period, 2 period thing, 2 periods, no forward facing, 1 width. I would not be at all surprised if Bass comes out with some kind of whatever, alternating tournaments, half the day, half with, half without, something. And I think that'd be a good thing myself, but
agreed. Yeah.
Just because I think it's better for the fans. We've been lucky. They tried to do it with the schedule this year, and so far it's been fairly successful. You've had a couple tournaments that weren't really one scoping. Brandon won. He wasn't really scoping.
Yeah.
He was seeing them, but he was throwing a crankbait and waiting for him to bite.
Crankbait.
Yeah, crankbait. But I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. With how it's good for the sport overall to switch it up. Because even this past year on NPFL, like all I did, where I felt like I could do good was scope, was like truly scope, as in fish for roamers, or truly scoping, not just like what Brandon did of looking up shallow and fishing. And as a fisherman myself, and especially in our region or my region with Table Rock and Lake the Ozarks, all we do for 2 to 3 months is just stare at a screen. And I love scoping. I absolutely love it. But after so long, I'm just like, I'm doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm throwing a jerkbait, an A-rig, and a minnow. That's it in the winter times of months.
Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate for live scope because I love it and it catches a lot more fish. You learn a lot more about fish, but just as a fan and how to fish, it definitely got tired for me this winter.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Devin Pino hates forward-facing sonar.
Oh yeah.
He hates it. He just wish it would all go away.
I think he likes to poke the bear a little bit.
He does.
No.
He does.
So switching things up a little bit, tomorrow is the very first Bass Nation Open. It's on Pickwick. Chris Johnson, viewer and guest, fishing that. Been enjoying his little videos all week long of he's camping out there in McFarland Park. I am not going to get to fish those this year like I thought I was. So I'm sit here on the bank and cry about it and root everybody else on.
Wonder how many boats they'll have.
Yeah, they didn't have anything posted that I could see.
Chris might be able to tell us
if he's still on. And I was able to find your District 65 schedule and get that posted in the comments for the guys that want to fish on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's up there, I think. I don't know if you can click on it, though.
Probably have to copy paste it.
Yeah. Well, do they cap it at 250 boats for the Open?
They took that back to 225 this year.
The Bass Nation or the Open?
I think he means Bass Nation.
Mm-hmm.
They took it back to 225 because they never got 225 last year.
The closest was Muskogee. So
let's
Muskogee, really?
Yeah.
It was the biggest.
Wow.
It was bigger than the Alabama one.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know. Pickwick might be up there.
I mean, heck, with as big as bags is coming out of Pickwick.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think they take entries. I think they take entries right up until the day of, too.
Yep.
Maybe the day before. So. Well, Danny, ask him your question.
Which one?
Both of them. Ask him both of them.
I think I know the answer to the. So, as you've expanded your horizons and traveling to and fro, is there some place now that when you're driving by, you just have to pull over? Do you have to go in? Like Buc-ee's, like
Cozy Inn.
Ooh,
like,
golly, that sounds good.
It does sound good.
It does.
I get to bring that up.
Taco John's.
It's gonna be a boring answer, not gonna lie, but Chick-fil-A. That's whenever I'm driving on the road to or from tournaments. Chick-fil-A, but in the morning for the chicken minis. That's my stop.
Okay. Who said that recently? Was it Bobby last week?
We didn't get to the question
We
of
did,
Bobby.
yeah.
His
Yeah,
phone
we didn't
died.
get to it with Bobby.
Yeah, he was cutting in and out. We couldn't really ask him. Somebody recently said the same thing.
I'm telling you, them chicken minis hit
I mean,
different.
You can't hardly go wrong with Chick-fil-A.
Y'all ever take the chicken nuggets and then order the mac and cheese as a side and then put buffalo sauce on it?
I saw that on TikTok.
Oh,
I've
it's
never
so
tried
good.
it though.
It's amazing.
I'm
Gotta
a,
do it.
I'm a plain. My order at Chick-fil-A is pretty plain. I get 2 spicy chicken sandwiches and a chocolate shake.
Well, spicy isn't plain, so you got that going for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's it. Like I don't get any sauces. I don't get any. I like the spice on their spicy chicken.
It,
It's pretty good. Taco Tico. Are you
Oh
kidding?
yeah.
Hmm.
Jason knows what's up.
I haven't had a Taco Tico for a long time.
Man.
Jason,
That's like
weird.
Taco Grande.
Oh yeah.
Hmm. Gut burners.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, Scoper. Craziest thing you've seen on the screen. Most unexplainable. What the hell was that? I got to go back and look at that. Craziest thing you've seen on the screen.
Hmm. That's a difficult one because I really haven't seen like anything crazy other than there's nothing in particular, but at Lake the Ozarks, there's some wild stuff that goes on.
Surely not.
And there's, like I said, nothing in particular, but there's things in your head when you start scoping around and you're fishing. Say if you're around people or, in the back of a pocket or whatever, that you start questioning what you see. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Oh.
I'm just going to leave it at that. But
I think we have a top 5 right there.
because everybody knows, most people know what goes on at Lake the Ozarks. So that's it. That's my final answer.
I caught a string of Mardi Gras beads on a crankbait one time. Maybe. Allegedly.
Hopefully
Are
you
you
didn't get
sure?
sunburned after you took your top off.
Yeah, are you sure you caught them in the water and you didn't
No.
cast up on a dock or anything?
No, I just said on a crankbait. I didn't say where it was. Oh my.
That's good.
Lauren got that lasagna ready yet? I'm hungry.
Oh, I'm sure she's in the kitchen right now, but she's
Dang, that sounds good.
I got pretty lucky with her because anything fishing she respects what I do. So
That's awesome. I think we all have one of those.
it's takes a heck of a woman to put up with what we do bass fishing.
Yes.
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 Yes, I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Yep.
The one that'll get up with you at 4:00 in the morning and go argue with tournament fishermen.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's arguing as much as ordering them around.
Well, there's that. But argue, order around, same thing.
Yeah. Tell them what's up.
Yep. We all have one of those.
Run your socials by us real quick, Brock.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Brock Bila fishing across the board.
Brock Bila Fishing.
Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. I am, just for everybody watching, YouTube. I've been pushing really hard on, and there's some really good content of the lifestyle, of the stuff we do on the tournament scene, and also the preparation, tackle prep, tackle tips, but mostly focusing on the lifestyle of trying to pursue this crazy dream, because it's an all-day ordeal every day.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, John, you got to hold him to the promise.
Okay. So far it's not working too well, by the way, because Brandon is kind of ghosting me right now. But
Uh-oh.
so the promise is, when you win it, after coming on the show, when you win a tournament, you have to come on our show. It's supposed to be first, but Brandon's already blew that. So I'm just trying to get, he went on Mercer already. So
I can't believe that. We have a viewership of several.
yes.
So
Yeah. So
I mean, we're like
that's the
far
promise.
from monetization.
Yeah. Promise when you win that you come on our show first.
I can promise that.
Awesome.
All right. And help us get to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which we are at what, 17?
36 or so.
Oh, 36.
We're just
close.
We're
We're so close.
Need to convert those Facebook ones over to YouTube ones as well.
Amen.
Yes.
And I share Brock's stuff as much as I can on all the pages.
Yep. And I'll make sure to share your guys' page and try to get it out there, because I know y'all helped me a ton on hitting my 1,000 mark. So I'll for sure return the favor when we get off this podcast.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Take us away, Danny. Take us away.
Wow.
We've been on here almost 2 hours.
But still light out, kind of. Not really.
Not here.
Yeah, it's dark now.
I had to drink a lot of coffee to stay awake for this, so I'm not lying.
Are we not that entertaining? Come on now.
No, it's not about being, dude. It's about being 54.9. It's not about how entertaining you are. You could be handing out ice cream and $20 bills, and I'm still going to fall asleep. Guys, thanks for watching. Much appreciation to Brock for jumping in last minute and saving our hind ends tonight. As always, keep the greasy side down and the sunny side up. Peace.
Thanks, Brock.
Thanks, Brock.
Thank you, guys. It was a pretty blast. I appreciate it. You guys having me on.